Sure. My name is Lindsay Jones. I work for Rooster Teeth, an online production company. My areas of expertise, if you can call it that, are Achievement Hunter, where we do video gameplay or focus on video gameplay. But I also do voice acting for a lot of our popular series like Ruby. I'm the main character, Ruby Rose. I also voice act in Camp and Red vs. Blue and X-Ray and Vav.
And so when I first said mental health and gaming as a connection, what were your initial thoughts? Was it there's an obvious connection there, or was it more surprising, I suppose?
I don't think it's surprising at this point. I do think there's a very obvious connection to mental health and gaming, and especially with a lot of recent media focus on the subject itself. I think that's a very common thing that people are reporting on now, or at least there's more awareness being brought to the issue itself, and I think that's fantastic.
What do you make of, because it was a couple of years or so ago now that the World Health Organization said that gaming addiction is a mental disorder. How do you respond to that? Or do you how important do you think Rooster Teeth as a community is to play in challenging that kind of perception of gaming?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it is something important to identify because in my personal opinion, and just based on the research that I've done specifically, I think addiction comes in many, many forms that can really be applied to any subject matter depending on what your interactions are with it and what your behaviors are. But at the same token, I think we need to frame it, or at least understand the subject matter of video gaming specifically and all the positive aspects it can bring to the table and to people who video game on a frequent basis, especially mental health related. I can think of many people in the fan base who have found very, very strong relationships with other people or support groups for their mental health issues that they didn't have in other areas, especially with close family members or anything like that. So we are providing this opportunity for people that doesn't exist anywhere else, and also giving people kind of the support that they need.
Yeah, that's perfect. How do you find the connection between the content you create and mental health?
Let's see.
It's a bit of a difficult one.
Yeah, I was going to say, ooh, interesting. The connection between our content and mental health specifically is, I've heard people say this a lot, and it seems very cliche, but I guess there must be some air of truth to it if a lot of people are saying it, is that a comedy is a great source of, again, positivity in a world that's very, very full of a lot of negative things and a lot of negative triggers that can happen for mental health patients. And for us, whether it be providing a distraction or even sometimes the subject matter through comedy can kind of help address the issues that people don't want to face to begin with, especially with a lot of acting that I do with things like Ruby or Camp. There are a lot of issues addressed with people's mental health or even social situations that lead to mental health issues. And in doing so, people can identify with those characters and go, oh, okay, I'm dealing with the same thing. I understand this character. This is actually helping me a lot.
Yeah. What's so special about the Rooster Teeth community compared to other communities?
The interesting thing about Rooster Teeth community, or at least the unique thing, is that we have a very, I guess we have a larger amount of intimacy with our fan base. There's a really personal connection between us and our fans. They can reach out to us instantly on social media, especially. We have a very heavy social media presence. So a lot of people say that they feel closer to us than they would maybe a TV actor or someone who is in a band, etc. So we even are able to provide, an extra level of support to our fan base that didn't exist anywhere else.
All right. In terms of gaming in general, how has that kind of affected you personally in terms of your own mental health?
From my personal experience, video gaming has affected me, to be perfectly honest, in a positive and negative manner. Positively, in the sense that I spoke about before, there's been a lot of support from people that I had never met before in my life and other online groups that I've connected with. And that also led to friendships that I didn't have before. One of my dearest friends was one of the groomsmen at our wedding we met online too, through the gaming community with Rooster Teeth. On the same token too, there is a lot of negativity associated with video gaming, especially when you're a female presence. But I think that can be found really anywhere in general, especially with a lot of nerd culture fandoms. Unfortunately, I think that's just a societal push that we need to make that change happen. So I kind of take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it did affect my mental health a little bit. I dealt with depression for quite some time, trying to adjust to some of the negativity in the fan base, but luckily I was able to kind of push through, again, with a lot of the support that I had from the fan base itself and people within the Rooster Teeth community. And my other coworkers as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, but I would say overall positive.
What kind of things have you been has it entered the conversation at Rooster Teeth to make a difference about it or make a change?
Absolutely. I know the biggest thing that we push for is we have a yearly charity for Extra Life, which is focused on mental health specifically for us. There's actually the main charity that we donate to or try and focus on is Dell's Children's Hospital, which is right next to our company. But we focus on mental health quite a bit. And actually, we're able to raise enough money to open up a mental health garden there and actually put a lot of funds toward mental health support and a lot of like health. I don't know exactly what you would want to call it, but ways to address health issues, which is fantastic. And I think, again, any way that we can raise that awareness is really what's important, especially as this subject matter comes further and further into light. A lot of people say, oh, I just really didn't understand exactly. And any way that we can try and push that understanding is great.
Yeah. How important do you think like Rooster Teeth as a community can be in challenging the stigmas around mental health?
I think it can be very important. The biggest thing that I've found is a lot of people go, oh, I never realized that, and it seems silly to say, but someone like you could experience these issues. Like you have a fantastic life, you have this wonderful career. And I think that's the biggest thing is understanding that there's really no connection there. You can still be very heavily involved with depression or social anxiety and have the appearance of this fantastic, like surreal life going on. It really doesn't matter. So I think that's the biggest thing that we push towards is having people understand that this is a mental health issue, not a situational issue. Yeah.
In terms of, I've picked up on this a few times throughout, in the interviews we've done, in terms of like a personality that you guys kind of portray, not necessarily a fake personality, but in terms of like an exaggerated, I suppose, personality. Does that affect you personally?
It does in a sense. I would say that for things like Achievement Hunter especially, it's a heightened personality of ourselves. We're still being ourselves, but we play it up a little bit for camera. We allow ourselves to have more fun with it than we normally would in a regular social setting. For me, I think it's affected my mental health positively because it's allowed me to be more comfortable with myself and a lot of my quirks, and especially when you're presenting yourself or opening yourself up to a larger audience and saying, hey, here's who I really am. That can be a very vulnerable state. So like I said, there's a lot of negativity that comes from that, but the overwhelming positivity has really helped me embrace who I am as a person.
Yeah. And how great is the Rooster Teeth community in terms of the support you get or the support they give?
I love the support that the Rooster Teeth community gives, and I would say in comparison to a lot of different fan bases also, it's very, very, very positive. And again, that level of intimacy that we have with fans is completely unique. So for us, it seems like the fan base is almost like family, really. So many people have gone with me from my journey, from being hired into where I am today, and then, getting married, having a child. And the support that I've seen from that alone has been so overwhelming and fantastic. So
I think we're out of questions there. So is there anything you'd specifically want to add about, or just about mental health and gaming in general?
In general, I mean, this sounds very cheesy and cliched, but the biggest thing is that I would say focus on yourself. I know there's a lot of different opinions flying around, especially about mental health. There are a lot of people who are interested in kind of telling you how you should live your life or what they think their definition of mental health is. So I'm like, I would highly suggest taking the power into your own hands, or at least trying to as best as you can, researching everything that you can, looking at available options for your health and your needs, and trying to address that directly.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.